Pros Major League Baseball coming to Orlando. Please join me in welcoming the monitor of today's panel discussion, Bobby Olszewski, a former state representative and Vice President of Community and Government Relations with Local 5.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you to the I-Drive Chamber of Commerce for hosting us today, and Chris Mueller and his team here at the Orlando Hilton. I think there's going to be a lot of construction going around right here, because I think Chris is going to be moving his office higher in the tower to overlook left field of this new stadium. I want to introduce our MVP All-Star panel that we have today to get some insights on the effort to bring Major League Baseball to Orange County. And first, the man of the hour, I think we should say, Dr. Rick Workman, who is the majority control owner for the Orlando Dreamers. And next we have the co-founder of the Orlando Dreamers, Jim Schnorf. And we have someone who probably doesn't need any introduction. National Baseball Hall of Famer and MLB Ambassador for the Orlando Dreamers, Barry Larkin. And as Barry's making his way onto the stage, John Morgan texted and said that he senses regrets. He had something very unexpected come up, but he offers his regrets and supports for our efforts on the Orlando Dreamers. And ladies and gentlemen, before we start today, we actually have some breaking news that we want to share on the Orlando Dreamers. And the Orlando Dreamers have just made a trade. We've acquired Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge to play for Orlando. And I think that just goes to show you, you see what happens when you have the right ownership group? So,
I will miss my children though.
you know, we might not have the reigning MLB MVPs here today, but we do have an all-star with us. And I just want to thank Orange County Commissioner Mike Scott for publicly supporting bringing Major League Baseball to Orange County. Commissioner Scott, thank you. And now don't worry, he is not alone on the county commission, because there's plenty of excitement and many baseball fans on the county commission behind the scenes as the details are all being worked out. But I do see Phil Diamond, our good friend, the Orange County Comptroller, and I think as the county's bean counter, I heard he stopped doing that and he's starting to count in peanuts and Cracker Jacks. So that's the good news there for him. But, you know, we must acknowledge that none of us would be here on stage right now if it was not for Pat Williams. And Jim, as the co-founder and Pat's partner, can you share what Pat Williams meant to our community and especially the Orlando Dreamers?
Well, thank you, Bobby. We're all here in Pat's spirit. Everyone knows, you know, this was Pat's dream, his vision. And Pat got us very close to the goal line. And we're dedicated to pushing into the end zone. You know, we've got this best-in-class group here with these gentlemen besides me, up here also John Morgan. But I have to say a big part of the inspiration of this is Pat's wife, Ruth. So Ruth, would you stand? And when we lost Pat unexpectedly, we turned to Ruth and she said, please continue this effort. This is what Pat would want you to be doing. And there's another, I think, very special person that needs recognized here. It's Andy Herlitzka. Andy has been with this effort from the beginning. As Pat's longtime right-hand person with the Magic, and it's been invaluable in supporting me, you know, as we continued this effort after losing Pat. So we are dedicated to finishing the job here and confident that's going to happen.
Well, thank you, Jim. Barry, what convinced you to join the effort to bring Major League Baseball to Orange County?
You know, I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I grew up a big Cincinnati Reds fan. And I knew how it felt to be a fan and have an organization kind of bring together like the communities. 75, 76, the team won the World Series. And I remember being a young person at that time and growing up and just being in awe of the guys that were on that team, the guys that walked through my community, you know, the guys that we saw at the bank, the guys that we saw at the grocery store. There was no social media at that time, so they were anonymous. There you go. Anonymous at that time. And I just thought that was an amazing thing in Cincinnati, and the community in Cincinnati is just really wonderful people. Well, I had a chance to play professional baseball, and I came down to Florida for spring training. And our spring training at this time was in Plant City, Florida. And I had a chance to spend a lot of time up here in Orlando because I love to bass fish. And had an opportunity to interact with the people in the community in Orlando. And I found many of the same characteristics in the people in Orlando that I felt the people were very similar to the people in Cincinnati. I say there's always something about people from the Midwest, right? And I felt like in Orlando specifically, those same characteristics, the undersell and over-deliver, you know, the customer service, the follow-up, I thought that was what really drew me to the people in Orlando. So I decided to raise my children here because I wanted them to have an opportunity to grow up around like-minded folks. So when I was approached by Jim to do this, to get involved in this, I thought it was an absolutely great opportunity because I did decide to raise my children here. I feel like I am an Orlandoan, if that's correct. Yeah. And I also know how amazing it is to have a Major League Baseball team represent a city and win a world championship. This ring that I have on is for a reason. I'm not a jewelry guy, but I have this World Series ring on because we had an opportunity to play and win the World Series in Cincinnati. And the way that that brought the community of Cincinnati together was amazing. My hope is that we can do that same thing here in Orlando.
And Dr. Workman, you are the co-founder of Heartland Dental. You're a local resident in Isleworth, just down the road, and you're a lifelong St. Louis Cardinals fan. So why are you excited about being the anchor investor in this control ownership group for the Orlando Dreamers?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for hosting this. I think it's a great opportunity for everyone. So I grew up in a small town about 100 miles east of St. Louis. At age 4, sitting on the porch swing with my grandparents, listening to Harry Carey and Jack Buck to the games for the Cardinals. And in that area, baseball is really close to a religion. It really is. My wife happens to be from St. Louis. We moved down here part-time in 04, full-time in 08. My daughters just graduated from the University of Florida. They went through K through there, now going to grad school at Rollins and UCF. We love baseball. I think we have a very good understanding of, as Barry mentioned, how baseball builds a community. It brings all aspects of the community together. I've got goosebumps now because I've had a chance to see some cool things along the way as a spectator. You were on the field, I can only imagine. But we all come from all walks of life, but when you're in those stands and you're cheering together, buying the same, either the white towels or the red towels or whatever colored towels, and you're having fun before, during, and after, there's nothing like that. I never dreamed I'd have that opportunity, but I had a chance to meet Jim and Pat, I think pre-pandemic. And along that way, I said, you know what, you can count me out for something. And God bless America, as hired with Workman Dental. The opportunity for me to do more came up, and then really just in the past 3, maybe 4 months, it kind of fell into place, coalesced with the work, is that if you could do this, you'd be considered the lead owner. And I go, I'll do that if that is what it takes to get baseball here in Orlando, because our community will never be the same if that happens. I really believe that with all my heart.
And Dr. Workman, a quick follow. I'm going to really have to put you on the spot on this very serious question. So who are you rooting for when the Cardinals play the Dreamers in the World Series?
I will be for the Dreamers, but it'll be a great day. What a fantasy that'd be, right?
And Jim, what does bringing Major League Baseball do for Orange County, and in particularly the I-Drive community?
Well, I think it will be unprecedented, Bobby. If you look at the economic impact study we commissioned by a major independent group a couple years back, said bringing Major League Baseball to Orlando, playing in our 35.5-acre parcel a stone's throw from here, will add 25,000 permanent jobs, over $40 billion of economic impact over 30 years, and an additional $26 million in annual tourist development tax revenue. But I think beyond that, as Rick and Barry have said, it unites the community. And I think it's special for all of Orange County, for all of Central Florida, but it's particularly special for this I-Drive area.
So Jim, it's really not just about the money and making billionaires wealthier, right?
Well, if you're using a B when you say illionaire, you're not looking at me, okay? So I'm just a simple finance guy. So, no, I can tell you as a person in the financial business, you know, advising asset managers and pension funds and so forth, that wealthy, successful individuals have lots of choices to where they can make investments. And I think I can speak for John, who's not here. I think I can speak for Rick, who's a longtime friend. These people have many options. They are doing this because it is something that they have a passion for. It's going to help the entire community. It's going to help youth in particular. But they have many alternative investment opportunities that will generate more income for them in their lifetimes than doing this. You know, sports investing is high risk. And all you have to do is look at what happened during COVID and the consequences, you know, to team ownership. So these investors, these key people are doing this because they believe it's going to be uplifting to the community, not just because it's going to be financially rewarding.
And Barry, you've lived in Orange County for over 20 years, and you are currently the Orlando Dreamers Major League Baseball ambassador. You are close to many key people throughout Major League Baseball. You know, what steps are the Dreamers taking to get a Major League franchise right here in Orange County?
Throughout this entire process, we've been very mindful in our strategy, how we communicate with the baseball community, with the commissioner's office, internally, the decisions that we make. We're very aware, and we've monitored the situation that's going on down the road, down I-4, and we have been purposeful in not commenting on that, right? We've stayed out of the fray, we've kind of taken the high road, we've decided to show Major League Baseball that we, here in Orlando, we're a solution to a problem. There's a problem in Major League Baseball. There's instability in Major League Baseball. It's directly counter to what baseball is about. Baseball is a 162 game season played in 183 days. Baseball is every single day. It's consistency. Baseball is 27 outs, 3 strikes, 4 balls. Baseball is stable. That's what baseball is. Baseball players are strategic. They're definitely athletic, but they're very strategic because brute force and strength does not win at baseball. Strategy combined with strength and preparation, right? That's what makes us successful as a baseball player. So what our organization has done has been very consistent with that. We've been strategic in our communication with the commissioner's office to let him know that Orlando is a solution, and the fact that we have the ownership group, we have the stadium financing, right? Two of the most important parts for Major League Baseball. We have stability. I don't know if you've seen the rendering of our stadium, but we won't get rained out. Go down to Tampa in a couple months or a couple weeks and get an opportunity to watch the Rays play. Better bring your rain suit, right? So what we've done is we've shown Major League Baseball that we have that stability and the solution that they need. And that's all we can do. We can only be in control of what we can control. So our message has been very strong and consistent with Major League Baseball. And we've been very respectful of other organizations. We've shown that we're ready. We're about right there.
And Jim, there's been some media reports that the preferred stadium site is a stone's throw away here on International Drive, and the stadium costs are presenting some hurdles for the Dreamers to overcome. Can you respond to this?
Well, those were not the words of the Dreamers. Those were unfortunate, exaggerated statements. You know, Pat and I looked at many different parcels, you know, when this process began. And knowing how important stadium location was, it was a very deliberate process. And so I would say between the two of us, Pat and I drove or walked this nearby 35.5 acre parcel more than 100 times. We took absolute baseball experts like Barry here, and Johnny Damon, and Ken Griffey Jr., and Clint Hurdle, people like that, past it. We were very aware of the existing infrastructure that's there. We talked with architects and engineering experts, unconditionally convinced us it wouldn't be a challenge. I can tell you that I have probably spent close to 1,000 hours doing financial models, every possible contingency on stadium costs, designs. We've anticipated all of this. So the fact that 2 years ago we had an estimated cost of 1.6, 1.7 billion for a 45,000 capacity dome stadium, which by the way includes parking garages for 6,700 spaces. And I'm asked, recently, well, have those costs gone up? Well, what would your anticipated answer be? Of course, they've gone up. They've gone up incrementally. They've gone up in conjunction with what we would expect, what we've anticipated. So we don't see those things as a hurdle.
And now, Barry, the Orlando Dreamers really have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to bring Major League Baseball to Orange County. However, as a community, we really get 3 trips up to the plate. And the first one that gets the most attention is the relocation of the Tampa Bay Rays. And then next, once the Rays situation is solidified, Major League Baseball will expand by 2 franchises, and Orlando would most likely get one of those 2 franchises. And then lastly, other Major League Baseball teams have stadium issues in their communities. And if those aren't resolved, they possibly could relocate to Orlando. So Barry is a National Baseball Hall of Famer, a 12-time All-Star, a National League MVP, and a World Series champion. I think you like your chances getting 3 chances up to bat, right?
If you give me 3 chances, I don't know about right now, but when I was of able body, 3 chances, I really like my chances. No, you know, the thing about this, and I really think what's interesting about this is the fact that it's not just about a relocation of a team that's struggling. You know, one of the things that we wanted to show Major League Baseball was we don't want to be a default. We don't want to win because somebody else loses, right? I personally believe that Tampa and the fans down in Tampa, they deserve their Major League team. If they can't work it out, okay. But we don't want to be the reason that they can't work it out. We don't want that. That has always been our message, right? But we certainly are here, as I said before, as a solution for Major League Baseball. If they can't work it out, that's fine. If there's a team that can't figure out their stadium financing and they look for another home, we're here for that as well. And as you mentioned, Major League Baseball has stated that they want to add 2 teams, an East Coast and a West Coast team, and they want to realign the divisions. Right? There's an American League and a National League. There's 30 teams in Major League Baseball right now. Right? They want to have 15 on each side. They want to have 16 teams on each side. That's going to cause for some realignments of teams. I was just talking to a gentleman at my table today. His Houston Astros used to be in the National League Central, and we used to have this back and forth, me being a Cincinnati Red and his team being the Houston Astros. We used to beat them all the time, by the way. I had the mic. Now the Houston Astros are in the American League, and they've been very successful, by the way. We haven't been so much in Cincinnati. So yeah, so there are opportunities for us. It's not just a one and done type of situation. If the thing that happens down in Tampa doesn't come our way, it doesn't mean that this is over, right? There are many, many opportunities for us to be successful.
And Barry, just a quick yes or no. It sounds like the last piece of our package for Major League Baseball is just a simple, non-binding agreement or even a statement of support from Orange County and a public-private partnership. Yes or no?
Well, listen, Major League Baseball wants to have a solution. They don't want to ask questions. What we have to do is we have to show Major League Baseball that we've checked all the boxes. One of the boxes is support, right? We definitely need support. We've identified a parcel of land, right? We have drawings. We have Rick Workman and John Morgan. We have the financing, right? So there's plenty of things that, once again, in our control, things that we are controlling, right? And I'll let Jim speak more specifically on this because it is a financial thing. There's a public-private relationship that Major League Baseball asks for, right? The question is, have we checked that box? So to answer your question, maybe. Probably, yes.
Well, thank you, Barry. Dr. Workman, as the majority control owner, you are literally investing your own personal equity into Orange County, and the I-Drive corridor has tremendous appeal with tens and thousands of hotel rooms, hundreds of restaurants and attractions. And adding a baseball stadium to the many amenities of International Drive will be another reason for people to visit Orange County. Plus the stadium will provide the use of 2 parking garages to support the convention center events and attendance directly. So tell us how impactful the new stadium will be for Orange County, its residents, International Drive, and our convention center.
I think it may be ultimate level up. I mean, a rising tide raises all boats. If you've got a stadium event, I mean, the stadium would be a 365-day-a-year event. You got baseball, 81 days a year there, maybe spring training elsewhere here in Orlando. But there's the expectation there'll be a 5,000 to 10,000 person concert venue, performance venue, however you want to call that, where artists can come, maybe have a residency, can be used in conjunction with anything that the convention center does here. All of those aspects will cause more hotel rooms to be used, more meals to be purchased here on International Drive and other places. I think it helps our city in innumerable ways that are maybe not as concrete as one could express, but I think you all can figure that out. And if I can be a part of that, I've committed to this to the team and the team over there, all of us together, and it's going to take the support of all of you all also. If we can get this done, I think it'll be fantastic for this city. I really do. I believe that.
And Dr. Workman, I believe you were telling me earlier you want this to be a 365-day-a-year attraction, and you've already had conversations with the National Baseball Hall of Fame to have the second largest baseball memorabilia and museum right here in Orlando, and that's not even including the special Barry Larkin wing and exhibit, right?
We have to have a different budget for that, I think. But now think about that. The Hall of Fame is not easy to get to today. Think of all the attractions that are on Idaho, all the attractions that are on iDrive. Think about moms and dads taking their children to that. There's a million things to do. I can't imagine how and why one wouldn't want to go visit a baseball thing. I could see 1,000, 2,000 people a day going through there. Now that doesn't change the whole calculus of everything, but it's an example of the things that can get done and would get done in the nature of somewhat of a ballpark village, which is also a big, important aspect to any major league franchise today.
Now, Jim, there's always been a strong, healthy competition between Orlando and Las Vegas. And 10 years ago, Las Vegas did not have one major league sports franchise. Today, they have the NFL. They have the National Hockey League. The Oakland A's of Major League Baseball are moving there shortly. And the smart money is on the NBA's next franchise also being in Las Vegas. So, Jim, Orange County really needs Major League Baseball, don't we?
We are absolutely correct that we run the risk of losing the entertainment capital designation. Las Vegas has seen the significance of having professional sports there. So the Oakland Raiders sell out every game, highest ticket price in the NFL, back and forth sometimes between them and Kansas City. I know recently the average resale ticket price to a Raiders game in the secondary market, $300 higher than the overall average resale ticket price in the NFL. Their NHL team sells out every game, third highest ticket price. Baseball will be successful there. I think you're correct. You're going to see a basketball team in Las Vegas from the NBA this decade. What's the message? Tourism matters. Professional sports and tourism go hand in hand. And so I think we have this once-in-a-generation opportunity right now to bring Major League Baseball here, and we need the entire Central Florida community, media, businesses, government, fan base, getting behind the effort. Because if we don't get baseball now, my prediction is we do lose that competition to Las Vegas.
And Jim, a follow-up, your comment that tourism matters, and it definitely matters here in Orange County, and that brings us to the three letters that I think the most people in this room are going to be excited to talk about, and that's RBIs. Just kidding, TDT. And for the uninitiated, RBIs are runs batted in, and TDT is, of course, tourist development tax. And Jim, you have already acquired and secured an amount approaching $1.5 billion towards stadium, $1.5 billion in equity financing for the Dreamers to obtain a Major League franchise. And then you have an additional $1 billion towards the stadium construction. You know, Barry previously mentioned that the public part of the partnership has not yet been completed, and that there's been some reports that Orange County leadership is not fully on board. Are you concerned about this?
Well, these are smart people. They're very deliberate. And so I look at this and I say, we will get a solution. I think we'll see this in the very near term. So I mentioned some of the statistics previously. I can say with confidence, and once again, I think we need to classify this as an investment. This is not an expenditure by Orange County or any other government agency or entity. This is an investment. And I would say with confidence, it's an investment that has an unparalleled return on investment. You know, I would challenge anyone to say, what other initiative would remotely compare to the economic benefits, you know, the overall positive impact to Orange County, to the greater Orlando community than bringing Major League Baseball here? And so we look at this and we say, we have the pieces put together from the team side. We are confident that we will get the public side put together. And I think in the very near term, it doesn't have to be the absolute final details consummated. It's visible public support from Orange County saying we want Major League Baseball here and we're prepared to support it. So I am confident that you're going to see the public side of this puzzle successfully completed very quickly.
So Jim, really it just comes down to a simple statement of support or a non-binding agreement stating that Orange County is interested in exploring bringing Major League Baseball to our community, right?
That's what we need right now. The clock is ticking. It's very clear. I think there'll be a lot of things happening in the next 30 to 60 days in Major League Baseball, and it would be an all-powerful message to be able to tell Major League Baseball, yes, we have this final box checked. There is going to be an appropriate public-private partnership.
And Dr. Workman, some people are asking, why don't you just call Tampa Bay Rays owner Steve Sternberg and buy the team? Is that realistic?
We have done research, I promise you, on this. I think the thing that Barry and Jim have said about the discipline and methodology, you know what I'm saying, approach. We have to work in concert with Major League Baseball. At the end of the day, they have to approve any transfer of ownership and any awarding of a franchise. And so we're working behind the scenes. In typical business, certainly you just call them, say, hey, what's happening? But our advice at this point is not to do that yet. But as Jim, I think, has said, we hope in the next coming few weeks, we'll have a better visibility on that.
I see our friend Mike Bianchi of the Atlanta Sentinel in the back. I'm sure he has Steve Sternberg's phone on speed dial. Can you get him on the phone for us, Mike?
Tomorrow.
Jim, we've talked about it. I mean, what today's discussion shows is the last missing piece of our puzzle is truly the public partnership. And what would be your message to Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings and the commission on solidifying their generational legacy and bringing Major League Baseball to Orange County?
Well, I think our collective message would be the time is now. These are smart people. These are polished political people. Others in this room, and John Morgan, know Mayor Demings better than I, but he strikes me as being a very deliberate individual. He and the commissioners are not going to make an inappropriate deal for the citizens of Orange County. And as a finance person, obviously I applaud that. Having said that, there's no question, I think this group is uniquely qualified. Mayor Demings has a finance background. How many major community mayors are there in the country with a finance background? So, uniquely qualified, to assess this. You've got the most competent comptroller in the Southeast, in Phil Diamond here. Uniquely qualified. The commissioners, Commissioner Scott, as you mentioned earlier, has stepped up. These are smart individuals. They understand this is a once in a generation opportunity. And we're completely confident that they will be behind this.
And back to Barry, something that's been asked since Pat Williams started the initiative by having this dream to bring Major League Baseball to Orlando. Is Dreamers really the team name? And your thoughts on the nickname?
One of the things that I thought was important was when Jim contacted me was to talk to Ruth Williams. And I asked Ruth what Pat's idea was about this Dreamers concept. And she did tell me that he was insistent that the name of the baseball team would be the Dreamers. And I respect that. And I said respectfully, Ruth, at some particular point, for every young person that has aspirations to be successful, the dream becomes a reality. And I feel like it's time to take this to the next level and make this a concrete thing as opposed to this concept. Right? We've all in this room have had thoughts of being successful, dreams of being successful, but at some particular point, you have to do something about it. And I thought it was a great time for us to pivot from this Orlando Dreamers name to this Orlando, whatever the community and the baseball fan base in Orlando decides they would like it to be. So, correct, Ruth? Yes, ma'am. So, no, this Orlando Dreamers is the concept, it's the initiative to bring Major League Baseball to Orlando. We are going to engage the fan base to come up with the appropriate name, and that ultimately will be Rick's decision to make. But Orlando Dreamers is not going to be the name of the baseball team.
And for our last question, I think we're going to go rapid fire for each of you. Since Barry, you have the microphone up there, what will it take to bring Major League Baseball to Orange County?
Well, I think we've all said it. It's going to take support, obviously. Major League Baseball, once again, is looking for a solution to the instability in the game. They're looking for financial, right? They're looking for a fan base. They're looking for support. Major League baseball used to be America's pastime. I'm not so sure if it's still there, right? I see the NFL, I see the NBA, I see Major League Soccer, hockey, all of these sports that used to be in the background now are kind of elevated, right? So baseball needs to come on. We need to bring it on for sure.
Dr. Workman, your thoughts?
Well, as they both said, I think we have the key components. I think it is critical at some point that we get some announcement or some public acknowledgement that we won't lose it for lack of a public-private partnership. Past that, I do think it's support, PR, and then obviously us being ready to make a call or to get a call and being able to execute. And I think we're ready to do that. We could use a little good luck along the way, but I think we can get that done. But it is, like, last thing, each and every one of you, people that you know, your businesses, your contacts with other businesses that aren't the same, there's going to need to be an uprising, because if we can't get a franchise, the easiest thing in essence would be to buy another franchise. Technically, that just takes money and a vote. But if we don't get that, then to get a franchise, we have to do a lot of PR to let Major League Baseball completely understand what Orlando, its economy, 80 million visitors a year, can do, what the stadium site can do that can set a new standard for what's happening in baseball. And this city is uniquely positioned to do that. And I think to pull it together, we can pull that apart.
And Jim, you've been there since day one. Your thoughts?
Well, clearly the time is now, as these fellows have emphasized. We think the opportunity is within our grasp. So I would reiterate what Barry and Rick have said. It's going to require a collective effort. There's lots of competition. Several other cities would love to have Major League Baseball franchise as well. We're clearly the only one that meets all four pillars. You know, we've got the best market undeniably, largest media market in the country without baseball. We have a stadium. Look at this wonderful, compelling stadium design, location. We've got key ownership, very, very important. Local owners, baseball applauds that, and impeccable leadership. So we check all the boxes, and emphasize the time is now to move forward.
And thank you all for being here and for our panel, because that first MLB pitch is going to be a special moment in our community's history. And as a former state representative that represented all of West Orange County and Southwest Orange County, including iDrive, the Convention Center, and all of our theme parks, I can tell you that an opportunity as large as this doesn't knock twice. And I appreciate the large decision that it's going to be having to be made by our Board of County Commissioners. But this investment in a stadium is truly a once-in-a-lifetime, transformational opportunity that will allow Orange County greater revenues, greater resources, and even more TDT to address our community's critical needs. And we have a lot of critical needs as a community. And this stadium will absolutely ensure ridership and funding sources for the Sunshine Corridor. And it'll serve as a catalyst to complete the rail from Orlando to Tampa. And, after hearing this discussion from our panel today, it's clear that Major League Baseball is truly knocking on Orange County's door and asking Orange County, is this heaven? And this is the moment for our field of dreams. And I hope we can be inspired by the words of a wise man who once said, the one constant throughout all the years has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, it's a part of our future and reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again. Oh, people will come, Mayor Demings and Commissioners. People will most definitely come. So thank you especially to the International Drive Chamber of Commerce for hosting this special opportunity to allow our MVP panel here to share their excitement about bringing Major League Baseball to Orange County. Thank you to all of us here today at the Orlando Hilton. And please go to OrlandoDreamers.com and join 15,000 other baseball fans who have said they are signing up for season tickets here in Orange County for Major League Baseball, where you can see Andy Hurlitske. Andy, raise your hand again, our Chief Marketing Officer. And then also, if anyone would want to appear on camera to talk about their excitement about bringing baseball to Orange County, please see Kathy with the Global 5 team. She's waving at you in the back there, so we can make you a star by talking to Kathy. And thank you to our members of the media. We are going to have availability with this panel in a private room afterwards. Melanie and Lisa, if you want to wave, so they know, they'll escort you to the private room after the meeting. And lastly, as we close, thank you all for being here. And in the historic words of Orange County Commissioner Mike Scott, baseball is coming soon. Let's play ball, Orange County.
Well,